Alright, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and salutations to the Akim out there, spreading this truth like wildfire in all truthfulness and in all sincerity. Alright, so I want to get into this story. I'm going to do a video on these videos. Or this one.
Oh my God, what is that? Oh my God! What is that?
Why doesn't every... This is a major warning for the supply chain of the U.S. Right now, we just had imports going into the U.S. shut down, and they're still being shut down. We had a massive shutdown of one of the biggest train and rail operations in the entire world going into the U.S., importing goods into the U.S. was just shut down, and they're talking about shutting down even more sectors. They're talking about having on and off shutdowns of our international supply chain, importing goods into the U.S. right now. All right, so this is going to cause major food shortages. This is one of the main ways that the food harvest is transported into the U.S. Okay, we could also have major parts shortages as well, and automotive shortages and parts for cars and trucks. We could see major shortages for what is happening right now, and this is on purpose. This is an intentional plan to shut down our international supply chain and shut down America's supply chain. This is going to affect oil imports. This is going to affect minerals. This is going to affect natural gas. All these things are being affected right now and have been shut down, have been taken offline. America is being cut off. Its resources coming into the country are being shut off left and right. There's all these different reports that I've been making, and now there's a new one shutting down the rail system going into the U.S. Okay, this is a siege warfare tactic on the U.S., and this is what they do in times of war. It's called siege warfare, where they surround countries and they choke off the imports. Okay, so you're not able to replenish yourself, and you just have to depend exclusively on what your country has. And on top of this, the strategic oil reserves are at all-time lows right now, and there's even some experts warning that there could be damage to the caves that hold all the oil because so much oil has been drained from it. All right, so all these things are happening right now, and now we're having a major attack on our supply chain as well, and this is going to cause fruit shortages. Major fruit shortages are going to come to Walmart. This is going to hit everywhere. Kroger, Publix, Piggly Wiggly. This is going to hit everywhere that you shop at. King Super. All these major grocery stores, this is where they get their fruit from. This is where they get their food from. We could have major grain shortages as well for cattle, pigs, chicken as well, and that could cause major price increases in grain for your animals, and to buy it on the shelves as well. We could see shortages and major spikes in cattle, pig, and chicken right now. All right, they all depend heavily on grain. All these things are being shut down. We could see gas prices go up even more from this event. All right, let me know down below if you've been seeing your gas prices spike, because this is serious, guys. This is getting bad. This is getting out of control, the inflation situation in America, and this is part of it. This is part of the collapsing from the inside out, is making things so unlivable and so unsustainable for the average person to live. Things are just too expensive. Home prices are insane. Interest prices are insane. People living on fixed income, Social Security, they're getting completely demolished right now with this inflation. All this stuff is happening, and there's no end in sight. Now they're shutting down the supply chain and the imports going into the U.S. All right, so you need to be getting stocked up. You need to be getting prepared. All these things are being shut down. Fertilizer going into the U.S. is being shut down right now, okay? And they're also shutting down international bridges that transport trucks as well into the U.S. and import goods into the U.S. These international bridges are being shut down as well right now, okay? So this is a coordinated effort. This is a coordinated attack on the U.S. and our supply chain, and we need to be getting ready, and you need to be getting your family in a safe, secure location, and you need to have plenty of preps. So let's get into what's going on and what is shutting down our supply chain. We have the biggest railroad operation in Mexico being shut down right now, and this transports hundreds of cars into the U.S. every single day.
Salakia, there's an ad coming up.
The protests in support of Azerbaijan were held in Luxembourg, Britain, and the Czech Republic. Paris and
This transports hundreds of cars into the U.S. every single day of oil, of fruit, vegetables, critical goods, automobiles, auto parts. All these things are being stopped and shut down right now as the largest shipping and train company in Mexico is shutting down right now. And this is continuing. Okay, they keep having to shut down new routes and open new routes and shut down this route over here and open this route over here. This is happening right now. And at one point the other day, they had 60 different routes going into the U.S., northbound routes going into the U.S. 60 different ones were shut down the other day. All right, and this is fluctuating. Sometimes it's down to 40. Sometimes it's up to 50. It's up to 60. All right, but this is happening right now, and we are having coordinated efforts and attacks on our supply chain coming from Mexico going into the U.S., and they're saying that this is due to thousands of people blocking the trains and thousands of people jumping on the trains as well while the trains are moving, and this is causing major casualty events. Okay, so this company is called Ferromex. It's the biggest rail company in Mexico, and they import billions of dollars of goods into the U.S. every single year, and this is critical for us. And they have shut down 60 different routes at one point the other day, and this is fluctuating around. They're opening routes, they're trying to get them open, they're shutting down other ones that are being overwhelmed because thousands of people are jumping on their trains at once, and they're having mass casualty events. People are not making it. Not everyone is able to run and jump on a train and do this while carrying a bunch of stuff or carrying other people. It's a major disaster, right, of what's going on here with these trains, and there's thousands of people trying to get on them because they are going north into the U.S., and they have halted over 60 different routes going into the U.S., and they're saying this is a continuing problem that they're dealing with, and they don't know how to deal with it. All right, this is a major issue going on right now. It was just reported in the
Salakia. Do not disturb.
It was just reported in the last 24 hours that over 11,000 people documented that encountered law enforcement. Over 11,000 people crossed into the U.S. in the last 24 hours, all right? And a giant portion of them are hopping on these trains, and they've had to shut them down because it's so dangerous, and it's turning into a mass casualty event and a major liability for this company, for this Ferromex train company. All right, so this is insane. This is an attack on our supply chain, and they are shutting things down and slowing it down. They also shut down a international bridge connecting the U.S. and Mexico because there was so many people on it, and they had it shut down for a whole day just the other day too, because there's just 5,000 people swarming this one spot at once, and it shuts down the bridge. They have to process and all. They have to go through everyone, and this is shutting down international trade for the United States and Mexico right now. All right, so please hit it up for me down there to help get this video out. There's going to be major shortages coming on vegetables, fruit, on grain. This is prime time for corn harvest in Mexico. They're going to be having their corn harvest all winter. All right, that's how we have these fruits and vegetables mostly that are in these northern states in the winter. Is they grow tons of stuff in Southern California, and they also grow a ton of fruits and vegetables, squash, cucumbers, anything that's a summer crop that you're buying up north where it's snowing, all right, tomatoes, whatever it is, that is probably grown in Mexico, all right, at least like 90% of it is grown in Mexico, and a lot of that stuff is going to be stopped if these trains keep having major issues like this. All right, so you need to be getting stocked up. You need to be getting canned food. You need to be getting storable food. You need to be getting 20-pound bags of rice stocked up on all this stuff, because there's attack after attack on our supply chain. There's a major problem at the Panama Canal as well going on right now, and affecting imports from China going to the East Coast. All right, that's a major issue that's happening right now as well. So all these things are hitting our supply chain, and also affecting oil imports from the Middle East going to the West Coast because the Panama Canal is so low. I made a whole video on that last week, and our supply chain is dwindling. All right, so make sure you're getting stocked up, make sure you are prepped, and make sure you are getting enough for other people too. All right, because your neighbor might not be as prepped as you are when it hits the fan. All right, your cousin might not be as prepped, your mom or whatever might not be as prepped. All right, so just get a little bit extra for your friends and family when stuff like this really starts buckling and when it hits. And this is something that can just happen overnight. Overnight, they shut down 60 different routes temporarily. Faramex did, going into the U.S. 60 different ones. These are major routes transporting goods for our supply chain. All right, so this can happen overnight, and you need to be prepared and be stocked up. All right, so please hit it up for me down there. I really appreciate that. I hope you have big blessings for your family. You guys bless me up. You guys bless my family, and I truly appreciate that. And I hope you guys have a big old blessed day.
All right, so you see right here, they're about ready to shut down. Well, they're shutting down the supply chain. By shutting down the trains coming in from Mexico and shutting down that international bridge. And let me get this right here. Slacky. Ezekiel 5:16. When I when I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, which shall be for the destruction, and which I will send to destroy you, and I will increase the famine upon you, and I will break your staff of bread. Verse 17. So I will send you famine and evil beasts, and they shall bereave thee, and pestilence and blood shall pass through thee, and I will bring the sword upon thee. I, Yahweh, have spoken it. And yeah, Most High Yahweh is bringing the evil arrows of famine upon this place and upon 2/3 of you tribes, man. Of you so-called black people, Latinos, Native Americans, and you Israelite foreigners here in the States. You know? So, the sown places appear unsown. 2nd Esdras 6:22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And that's what you're gonna see happen. And let me get Second Ezra chapter 16, verse 18. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? And in another video, this dude who appears to be an Edomite is talking about how there's a civil war breaking out, how there's basically a civil war breaking out between, how they're basically moving to declare martial law in certain areas, and the state National Guard and the federal government are getting into it. And they're basically being given opposite orders. So they're like opposing each other. And so there's that's kind of like a civil war, isn't it? Sedition, the beginning of wars. That would be the beginning of wars. And the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? And it was Esdras, he was given a vision of what was gonna go down in the last days. And he said, what shall I do when these evils shall come? You know, showing you reincarnation is 100% real. But because Esdras was how Esdras wrote this how long ago? Like, it was during the time of the Medo-Persian Empire, yeah. Around that time period, a very long time ago. And so Yeah. You know, it's about to be so much death that. Let me get it. Second Ezra 16 and 22. For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape of hunger, the hunger shall the sword destroy. Verse 23. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. For the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down. Verse 24. There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. Salaku. The trees shall, verse 25, the trees shall give fruit, and who shall gather them? Verse 26, the grapes shall ripen, and who shall tread them? For all places shall be desolate of men. Verse 27, so that one man shall desire to see another, and to hear his voice. Verse 28, for of the city there shall be 10 left, and 2 of the field which shall hide themselves in the thick groves, and in the clefts of the rock. Verse 29 is in the orchard of olives upon every tree there are left 3 or 4 olives. Salakia. Verse 30, or as when a vineyard is gathered, there are left some clusters of them that diligently seek through the vineyard. Verse 31, even in those days there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword. Yeah. Salakia. Salakia, Salakia. No. Hold on. Matthew. Matthew 24 and 7, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. You know, so you're gonna have nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, famines. There you go, famines, earthquakes in divers places. Haven't we been seeing that? These earthquakes in diverse places, nation rising against nation. We've seen a glimpse of that, and kingdom against kingdom. Alright, and now you're seeing the beginning of a famine, a shortage, and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. You know, you're gonna see actual pestilences out here. That Most High Yahweh is gonna use his sword, Esau, you know, the wicked, to release, you know, the so-called white man, to release out here. And so you're gonna have those as well. We're talking about the famines that's coming. Verse 8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. You know, which those verses in Esdras in 2nd Ezra chapter 16, and these verses, in verse 7, Matthew 24, verse 7 and 8, are real similar. Showing you that the Apocrypha is a part of the scriptures, definitely. But, yeah, all these are the beginning of sorrows, man. Just the beginning of a time like no other. Jeremiah 30 and 6 verse 8. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth do his travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, no faces are turned into paleness, no sick with fear, man. Verse 7, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Verse 8, for it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and I will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. But it's the time of Jacob's trouble, time of Jacob's trouble. But he shall be saved out of it, meaning the elect. The elect is going to be saved out of it. And it's coming like what? Like a thief in the night. One Thessalonians 5 and 2, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai so cometh as a thief in the night. Verse 3, for when they shall say peace and safety. Right now that's what people are saying, right? Peace and safety, ain't nothing going on. Ain't shit ain't hitting no fan. Ain't no Jacob's trouble, that's for the heathen. Nah, it's for you. It's for Jacob. It's for 2/3, which is why it's called Jacob's trouble. Because Peter 4 and 17. And this starts with Jake and the truth. The judgment's going to start with Jake and the truth. 1 Peter 4 and 17. For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of the Most High Power Yahweh. And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of the Most High Power Yahweh? If it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of the Most High Power Yahweh, ye 2/3? And Amos 5:18 is for you 2/3. Woe to you that desire the day of Yahweh Shem Shai. To what end is it for you? The day of Yahweh Shem Shai is darkness and all light. It's darkness and all light. Verse 19, as if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall, and a serpent bit him. You know? So you try to escape from the famine. Maybe you'll be successful as a 2/3, but then the sword will slay you because someone else will want that food. You know what I'm saying? Or you'll be met by these martial law troops. You know? Or yeah, and you'll get put to death or get taken to a FEMA camp. Or you'll run to one of these FEMA shelters thinking that you're escaping the famine and all that. You know, you're escaping all that tribulation only to have to take the chip and the C-hip, and if you don't, you know, they put you to death, you know. Verse 20, shall not the day of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai be darkness and not light, even very dark and no brightness in it? Which reminds me of another video. These devils are about to are being used by the Most High Yahweh, by Shem Yahweh Shai, to bring the pain. Hold on. Let me find it. Let me play. I'm not gonna play his whole video because it's 33 minutes long.
Alright, so what would happen if all of the power in our country went out at the exact same time? Now, this is the question posed in Dennis Quaid's new documentary called Grid, Down, Power Up, and spoiler alert, things would not go that well. Take a look.
Virtually every study you'll see has an anarchistic component that leads to rioting. It is almost inevitable.
Imagine what will happen if there's no food, no power, no money, and no transportation. Only people with guns and the boldness to go and take what they need to survive will live.
Hold on. Let me do it this way.
Alright, so what would happen if all of the power in our country went out at the exact same time? Now, this is the question posed in Dennis Quaid's new documentary called Grid, Down, Power Up, and spoiler alert, things would not go that well. Take a look.
Virtually every study you'll see has an anarchistic component that leads to rioting. It is almost inevitable.
Imagine what will happen if there's no food, no power, no money, and no transportation. Only people with guns and the boldness to go and take what they need to survive will live. It could literally end civilization as we know it.
Cyber attack, an EMP, even a massive solar flare. They're all capable of exposing our power grid as America's Achilles heel.
All right, Joining us now, Dennis Quaid, along with the producer of the film, David Tyson, is with us. Thank you both. By the way, Dennis, I am a fan of yours. What's amazing about you,
Same here.
You could be the greatest father of the year in The Parent Trap and be the biggest jackass father in, I can only imagine. I mean, that shows great acting ability. Great to have
Yes,
you.
what a range.
That's a range. That's a lot of range. Okay, what interested you in this? We hear about Go ahead.
Yeah, well, there was something I read about and chilled me quite a few years ago, and then David Tice, who I've worked with before, came to me about something that concerned him too, to make this documentary on our electrical grid, to make people aware of how vulnerable it is. We've only been before 1920, we all lived in the dark, and I guess we were quite used to it. But if it were happened to a day like a solar flare event or an attack on our substations, them going out, we have blackouts, which we all.
So you see, Esau does something called predictive programming, where he shows you what he's gonna do in a show or in a movie or in the documentary in this case.
And have lived through, but it could take down the entire, and an EMP event could take down the entire grid of the United States, and within 30 days we'd be back in the Stone Age again.
Well, walk through where this documentary will take us. If it was an EMP event, electromagnetic pulse attack, which I think I'm hoping and praying and assuming that our government is preparing for, but that would knock out all the power in this country. That's a frightening scenario.
Yeah, it really is. There's three grids in this country, the Eastern, Western, and the Texas has its own grid. And they're quite vulnerable. It would not take much. There's a Carrington event with a solar flare, which in 1859 knocked out all of the telegraph lines, which was about the only kind of electrical thing we had back then in Europe and the United States. And, this means all the refrigeration would go out just like that. All of power stations, we wouldn't be able to have access to food or communication. And, from that, chaos is going to erupt. And it's something we're very vulnerable with. And there's an easy fix to it that we can do now.
It almost reminds me of the Book of Eli with Denzel Washington. That kind of scenario where it just, whoever's left it's just total anarchy. David, what got you?
And doesn't that sound like the verses I was reading in 2nd Esdras? Yeah, these devils, they about to put the squeeze on you people. The squeeze on you people. Really, it's Yahweh Shimi Al-Shai doing it. He's putting the squeeze on you people.
You interested in this project, and why was Dennis the perfect fit for you?
Well, I got interested in this project because I realized I was a NASA grandfather. When I was making the film, realized my grandkids were 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off. Houston, we have a problem. We have a problem if we don't fix this grid because my grandkids need to live a long life. And frankly, a solar flare, there's a 12% probability every decade that a significant solar flare could essentially take out our grid. So I've been worried about this for a long time. And as far as Dennis, we know everybody loves Dennis, from the Parent Trap to the Rookie. He is incredibly intelligent and gifted with his knowledge of the system and capitalism, and he recognizes that we have a problem, but he believes in the American spirit where we can fix this.
Yeah, I'm like a mini prepper. I've got two huge generators in part so I could broadcast if, God forbid, such a thing happens. I wonder even if they would work, and I have, thousands of gallons of propane underground for that reason.
These prepper Edomites, they think they can prepare calmly and they're going to be all right. So they're in a way in that peace and safety mindset as well. Nah, you gotta prepare it spiritually, which they can't do. Only the elect of Yasharala is gonna be prepared spiritually.
But when you think about it, I don't think most people are prepared. Don't even have enough food, Dennis, to last a week. Never,
Right.
And what happens to the food supply? What happens to pretty much every aspect of our lives?
Every aspect of our lives that we just take for granted every day is we're going to have to deal with in another way, and it won't be good. And there's a way to fix this. This is something that our government can do. It's definitely a nonpartisan issue, that's for sure. To protect our substations, sort of like in a way that surge protectors. We have them on our televisions. We have them for our computers. We could install these in our substations that would protect us from if an event like this happened.
I'm glad both of you did this because I do believe this is a real threat, and I think you're right. They need contingency plans, and if they don't have them up to date, ready to go at a moment's notice, this country could be vulnerable to attacks that we never dreamed of. Where can people see this documentary, real quick, David?
Okay, so they can see the movie right now on SalemNow.com. In about 2 or 3 weeks, it's going to be available on Amazon and also on YouTube.
Okay, thank you both. David, thank you. Dennis?
So there you have it. Literally, the day of Yahweh Shimi Shai is darkness and not light. Even very dark and no brightness in it. And also, and in combination with the shortages is already happening and about to happen, we can see, we're gonna see some shit. Jacob's trouble. It's gonna get real. And you gotta be spiritually prepped. Luke chapter 12 verse 16, and he spake a parable unto them, saying, the ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentifully. Verse 17, and he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do, because I have no room where to bestow my fruits. Verse 18, and he said, this will I do, I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there will I bestow all my fruits and my goods. Verse 19, and I will say to my soul, soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years, take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. But, verse 20, but the Most High Power Yahweh said unto him, thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee, then what shall these things be which thou hast provided? Verse 21, so is he that layeth up treasure for himself and is not rich towards the Most High Power Yahweh. Exactly. You have a lot of these prepper Edomites and even prepper Jakes. Even some prepper Jakes that be doing that, but they're not rich towards the Most High Power Yahweh, which an Edomite can never be rich towards the Most High Power Yahweh. Only Jake can, only Israelite can. But yeah, You know. And that treasure, you know, is most likely gonna be for the elect. All that food. Cause therefore thus Isaiah 65 verse 13. Therefore thus saith Yahweh power, behold my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Verse 14. Behold my servants shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. Verse 15. Ye shall leave your name for a curse to my chosen, for Yahweh power, for the Lord Yahweh shall slay thee, and call his servants by another name. So the elect is gonna eat, but you two-thirds are gonna suffer in that day. Two-thirds are gonna suffer in that day. Proverbs 1:20. Wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets. Verse 21. She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the city. She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates in the city. She uttereth her words, saying, how long, verse 21, how long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity, and the scorners delight in the scorn, and fools hate knowledge? Verse 23, turn you my reproof, behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you, I will make known my words unto you. Verse 24, because I've called, and you refused, I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. You know? Verse 25, but ye have sat at naught at all my counsel, and with none of my reproof. Verse 26, I also laugh at your calamity, I will mock when your fear cometh. Verse 27, when your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you. Verse 28, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. Verse 29, for that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Most High Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh. Verse 30, they would none of my counsel, they despised all my reproof. Verse 21, therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices. You know? Verse 32, for the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. Verse 33, but whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from the fear of evil, which the elect are gonna take heed, and they're gonna dwell safely, shall be quiet from fear of evil. But yeah, 2/3 are about to be through. You don't think it's safe, but it's not. And y'all ain't 2/3 ain't gonna repent. The elect is gonna repent and be saved. But with that, oh, and when these Gurkha troops roll, when these foreign troops roll, Isaiah 59, verses 19 and 20, so shall they fear the name of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai shall lift up a standard against them. Verse 20, and the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them return from transgression in Jacob, saith Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. And Zechariah 12 verse 8, in that day shall Yahweh Hashem Yahushai defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and neither is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as God, as powers. When you look in the Hebrew, it's Alahayim. It says Elohim, but it's really Alahayim, as the angel of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai before them. When these martial law troops come in, So with that, I hope this video is edifying. I want to give all praises to... Oh, let me get this before I wrap it up. But as for you 2/3, as for you 2/3, Isaiah 28:18-22, and your covenant with death shall be disannulled, and your agreement with hell shall not stand, when the overflowing scourge shall pass through, and ye shall be trodden down by it. Verse 19, from the time that it goeth forth it shall take you, from morning by morning shall it pass over, by day and by night it shall be a vexation only to understand the report. Verse 20, for the bed is shorter than a man can stretch himself on it, and the covering narrower than he can wrap himself in it. Verse 21, for Yahweh Shemi Shai shall rise up as in Mount Perez, and he shall be wroth as in the valley of Gibeon, that he may do his work, his strange work, and bring to pass his act, his strange act. Verse 22, now therefore be ye not mockers, lest your bands be made strong. For I have heard that from Yahweh Shemi Shai, Yahweh power of hosts, of consumption, even determined upon the whole earth. See, 2/3 are through. You know, because y'all ain't gonna take heed. But with that, I hope this video was edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and salutations to the Akim out there spreading this truth like wildfire in all truthfulness and all sincerity. And shalom to the rest of the hopeful elect out there. Shalom. Shalom. Ababa Ball. That's Babylon. Abadla Adawam. That's the Edomites. Abadla Kalayim. That's the other nations. Abadla Ayubim now with that's the rest of our enemies. The rest of our enemies being 2/3 of the so-called black people, Latinos, Native Americans, and Israelite farmers here in the States, here in Babylon, as well as here in North America, as well as 2/3 of Salakia, as well as the rest of you wicked Israelites scattered to the four corners of the earth. Shalom, stay strong. Yashua forever in the Bible. Shalom.